The so-called Islamic State released this video back in 2018, highlighting the role of women. The Katibah Nusaybah was an all-female ISIS battalion. The RCMP alleges its members included this Canadian, Kimberly Polman, now living in BC's Fraser Valley.
Kimberly, anything you want to say?
Polman, who appeared in court Tuesday, isn't facing any criminal charges, and the RCMP allegations have not been proven. But this 122-page police report, just unsealed and obtained by Global News, outlines the RCMP's investigation called Project Stiletto.
Based on the allegations, she did play an active role with ISIS.
This national security law expert traveled to Syria with Global News in 2019 and interviewed Polman after her arrest.
I mean, my story, I think, is a little bit unique.
She claimed she was an innocent victim who realized her mistake soon after arriving in Syria in 2015.
I'd been trying to get out since about maybe 2 weeks after I arrived.
Out of Syria?
Yeah.
But the police report says Polman's own children described her as a pathological liar. The report alleges Polman was trained to fight, that she helped move weapons, and treated injured ISIS fighters. Police say a fellow Canadian ISIS member told them that Polman belonged to a group nicknamed the Sexy Seniors. The older women were dedicated to the cause and did many jobs for ISIS because they did not have young families to care for, the report says.
There is a really powerful stereotype about women not being involved in violence and political violence. And to a certain extent, the women of the Islamic State have benefited from that stereotype.
Polman is one of 9 women Global Affairs helped repatriate from Syria this year. But according to police, her children urged caution. Police say Polman's daughter told them, "My mom abandoned me to join a terrorist organization. We aren't sure if she should really come back because she might try to blow us all up." Polman was released on a peace bond, which includes restrictions on driving, travel, and internet use. It expires after 8 months. No charges have been laid. Jeff Semple, Global News.
And our Alissa Thibault was also in the courtroom today and joins us now with more on the strict conditions that Polman is going to have to follow. Alissa.
Well, Chris, probably the biggest change is that she can now have access to a smartphone and she can also access the internet. These are 2 things that she has not been able to do for more than a year under her bail conditions. Now, her internet use will be strictly monitored. She'll only be able to access certain websites. A probation officer will strictly monitor her online activity, and it will also be tracked by an app. She cannot use any social media platforms and she cannot make any calls outside of Canada. Today, the judge also upheld some of her previous conditions, including that she must live under a curfew. She will continue to have electronic monitoring. Polman cannot use a motor vehicle because the judge believes that she is at risk of harming people, though she can use an e-bike, and she cannot access any weapons. Now, these conditions have been imposed under what's called a terrorism peace bond, and we spoke with a criminal lawyer today about just how seldom this section of Canada's criminal code is used.
It's preventative. It's very rarely used. There's only one reported decision. You need to have evidence of a serious and imminent danger. The evidence must be reliable and trustworthy. And because there's a lifelong stigma associated with the section, it should not be lightly used.
And Alissa, what do we know about where Polman is living now and why she didn't want that made public?
Yeah, Chris, she has changed her address in the past year. Her family actually applied for a publication ban on that address. They tried to argue that if the Islamic State knew where she was, they would try to harm her. They said she has been labelled an enemy of Islamic State. Well, the judge did not buy that. She said that if that were true, that would have already happened, and there is no evidence to suggest that. So we can tell you tonight that Polman is now living in Squamish at her brother's property, and that is where she will be reporting to her probation officer. Chris.
All right. That's Alissa Thibault reporting from Chilliwack tonight. Thanks, Alissa.